secretaries entering information, they need to know why it's important for them to enter accurate information. Principals need to understand what's coming to them on those snapshots that they get for accreditation every month. They need to understand that snapshot, because if they don't, then that data just sits there. And every time you do a cycle pull, if they don't understand what's pulling, then they don't know why it's important for them to have accurate data. But we have monthly meetings with our principals, and it is principal and assistant. And some of our campuses have 2 assistant principals. So we meet with them monthly, and we started this last year. This is my second year in my current role that I'm in right now. But we started them for kind of 2 reasons. One, it is so important to us that our principals understand the foundations of the professional learning community process. And a large foundation is collaborative planning and collaboration, being able to talk and speak the language. So our goal is to model that in our conversations with our principals during that month. So I sent out the agenda, and it is centered around data. There's one part of the meeting that is completely talking about CFA data and any type of assessment that we've taken. And then another part of the meeting is centered around why it's so important for them to check in during those snapshots. What have you seen this month? What correspondence did you get this month? How do we need to look at that? What do we need to do? It went from us always saying, hey, have you looked at that? You need to look at it, to now 2 years in, they really are taking that initiative to understand and know why it's so important for us to have clean data. One of the things that I did is I kind of did a presentation on graduation cohorts and how that process is very unique to high school and secondary campuses, but why the practice needs to start at our elementary campuses. Because if we enter incorrect data as a 6th grader that is going to 7th grade, then that same data continues with them up until 9th and 10th grade when we start pulling cohort information. And I try to get them to understand where graduation cohorts come from and where graduation rates come from. As an elementary principal, they're like, I don't need to know this. But I'm like, yes, you do. You need to know it so that you can explain it to everybody else why it's so important that we have clean data. Do you realize how many people don't know what Cognos is? So that's kind of where we are right now. And I think that our secretaries and registrars can run a Cognos report in their sleep. But sometimes our administrators rely on them to run the report, even though they don't know what they're really asking for. So they'll ask the registrar or the secretary, I need a report that shows me this. But that's not the report they really need. So I realized that very quickly when I came to this position. Not everybody knew how to get in the Cognos, A, like access it, and B, they didn't realize all of the different reports that are available to them just in Cognos alone. So we have leads meetings quarterly with every principal, just the principal only. And they meet with myself, my superintendent, and the other assistant superintendent. They have to bring examples of data with them to us, attendance data, discipline data, and we really talk to them about where they are percentage-wise compared to this time last year, what conversations they're having in their buildings about that data, and why it's important for them to keep a thumb on their attendance data and keep a thumb on their discipline data. We really are trying to train. Everybody doesn't have aspiration to be a district level administrator, but we really are trying to train our assistant principals and principals to be knowledgeable. So even if they left our district, they are very knowledgeable of what needs to be a best practice for them, no matter where they are across the state. It goes even further to funding mechanisms. A lot of building principals and assistant principals don't know how we're funded. So they don't understand why it's so important to have really good, solid attendance data. We went back and did a lot of sessions on ESSA, and that was mind blowing to them to understand that, we don't just enter this information, it's pulled from what you put in. So once we started hosting those conversations, it really made sense to our principals. And we just don't stop talking about it. I don't do one session and then we don't talk about it for a while. We talk about it constantly because we want to make sure that the practices that we're putting in place are sustainable no matter who the leadership is. So, principals can come, assistant principals may come and go, but no matter who is leading that building, those policies and procedures are sustainable.